Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to show you how to add these little badges to the corner of the image box element. We're going to get started with some very basic CSS, which I think you're going to find pretty easy and also very powerful. This is also going to be a great trick to know how to do because you can use this in almost any design and any style really. There's a lot of applications for this. I'm going to be showing it to you in the context of, Meet the Team page where you're listing out multiple team members. And then we're going to use the little badge to identify their role on the team. So now that I showed you what we're going to make, let me show you how we're going to make it. Let's get started. Alright, so I'm in my Elementor editor, and I'm just going to quickly add an intersection just to get the general layout started. And then I'm going to search and add the image box element into one of the columns. So making sure the image box is selected, I'm going to go to the Style tab, and then I'm going to set the image width to 100%. This is very important. For this to work well, we need it to be 100% and take up the entire image box. So now that that's done, let me go ahead and quickly add an image in. And then in the title, I'm just going to give it a fake name. We'll say Jane Doe. Perfect. So in the description, you would put maybe her bio or, any other content that you want to put. And then in the description box, just below whatever you have in there, I'm going to hit enter a couple times. This is where we're going to add our badge. Now, it might seem weird at first, but don't worry, it'll work in the end and it'll make sense shortly. So I'm going to add a span class. So open bracket, span, space, class, equals, quote. Now we're going to want to give it a class name. This can be anything you want, but it should be specific and unique so it doesn't conflict with anything else you might have on your site. So I am going to call it img box badge. Alright, then I'm going to do another quote to close that out, and then a close bracket. So what we're going to put next is the actual text that's going to appear in the badge. So I'm going to do team lead. Let's say that she's the team lead. And then I'm going to do another open bracket, and then a forward slash, and then span, and then a closing bracket. So it should look just like this. And then for team lead, you can put whatever you want in there. Now you'll notice that it's appearing right here after the description. It's not, appearing at the top. Don't worry, the CSS is going to fix that. You'll see it's going to be like magic. So as long as you have it here and it's showing, right here, you're on the right track. And let's keep going. So a quick note, you could add the CSS under Advanced Custom CSS, but it's really kind of not a good practice to be adding CSS within Elementor because it can get out of hand real quick and it's not as reusable because the CSS will only apply to the element that you add it to. So even if I were to add the CSS to the section, right, if I wanted the styling to apply elsewhere on the website, it won't work. It's only going to work for the elements that are in the section I applied the CSS for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my CSS under Additional CSS in WordPress. So I'm going to click Update real quick just to make sure we save what we did. And then I'm going to click Preview. And you should have kind of what I have here, and it'll say Team Lead after the description. I'm going to go to Customize, Additional CSS. Now, this is where the magic's going to happen. So I'm going to do a period. And then you're going to put whatever class you gave the span tag. So I gave it img box badge. And then you're going to do the open curly bracket and then the closing one. Right? So you have the opening one there and then the closing one. And WordPress will automatically do it for you. So you'll see if I add the open curly bracket, it automatically does the closing one for me. So all right. Now, first thing we're going to do is let's put in position and colon. We're going to give it absolute. You can kind of use the autocomplete that WordPress has. and then you're going to end it with the semicolon. And then a new line, we're going to do top 0 semicolon. So you can kind of see what's happening so far. It's right before our eyes, it's changing. So now we see it just moved to the top. So now we're going to do right 0 and then close it with a semicolon. And you'll see it goes all the way to the right. So now why don't we give it a background color? So we'll do background colon, and let's give it a color. Let's just say red for now. And then remember, always close it out with the semicolon and then new line. Let's give it a text color. So that would be color. Let's do white. And then close it out with a semicolon. And you can see it's changing right as we do this. Now let's give it some padding, because that's kind of tight how it is right now. So we'll do padding. Now the first number is the top and the bottom padding. And the second number is the left and right padding. So you see how I have 5 pixel padding on the top and the bottom, and then a 15 pixel padding on the left and right. So if I were to change this 5 to 50, you'll see it adds 50 pixels to the top and bottom, which is a little bit much. I'm actually going to make the padding on the left and right, let's say 20 pixels, just for a little extra breathing room. So right off the bat, you can see that we have our badge. We're pretty much done. But let's take it to the next level. I'm going to give you some other pointers and tips. So for example, you can change the font size as well. So if you wanted to make the font a little bit bigger, you would do font size. Let's say maybe 18 pixels. You can make it all uppercase if you wanted to. That would be a text transform and then uppercase. I don't want to really use that in this case, so I'm just going to delete that. Now, another really cool thing you could do is, let's say you want this badge on the left. You can simply replace this right with left. Watch this. So replace the right with left, and it'll go to the left. Another thing that you could do is, let's say you don't want this little badge touching the top of the image. Let's say you want like a little space. So you see how it says top 0? You can maybe put top 10 pixels, and you'll see it moves the badge down 10 pixels from the top of the image. You could also do that with the right as well. So maybe 10 pixels from the right. So you kind of see how this is pretty powerful and really not that difficult. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly save this. I'm going to hit publish and save. And then I'm going to come back to my Elementor editor, and I'm just going to do a quick refresh just so I can kind of see the changes. I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate this and just move it into the column next. So I'm just going to click the new image box and just swap the picture out. All right, and then I'm going to change team lead to, let's say, support. Well, let's do something shorter. So let's say like, let's just say agent. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click update, and then preview again, and then I'm going to go back to customize and additional CSS. So what you're going to notice here is you'll see that depending on how long the text is that we put in the badge, that determines how long the badge box is itself. So you can see the agent box is smaller than the team lead box. Now, if you want these to be the same size, here's what we're going to do. So we're going to add a width. All right, let's say a width of 100%. Okay, so this is telling the little badge to take up 100% of available space. And you can see that pretty clearly here. It's 100% across. Now, you might actually want to use that look. I don't personally want to use that. So what I want to do is I'm going to go add another here, and we're going to do a max width. And let's go ahead and set it to 160 pixels and see what happens. Right, so what this is doing here is it's telling it to not be larger than 160 pixels wide. You know, whether you add some long text or some short text, the badge will be the same size. And if you add text that is, you know, much longer, you might need to increase the max width a bit. So just keep that in mind. Right, so I think that about wraps up this video. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know, and I look forward to seeing you in the next training.